The Israel-Hamas war, now entering its 14th month, continues to devastate the region, with Israel intensifying its military operations in the northern and central areas of Gaza. The Israeli government asserts that its actions aim to dismantle Hamas's ability to regroup and launch attacks. However, as the conflict drags on, speculation mounts that U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's return to power could significantly alter the course of the war. Trump's stance on the Middle East, characterized by his strong support for Israel and tough policies on Iran, may shape the ongoing conflict in unpredictable ways. Throughout his first term, Trump maintained a firm stance against groups the U.S. had labeled as terrorist organizations, including Hamas. He imposed stringent sanctions on entities supporting these groups, most notably Iran, a key financial and military backer of Hamas. If Trump follows a similar approach during his upcoming term, it is likely that sanctions on Iran will intensify. This could involve targeting financial networks that channel resources to Hamas, effectively weakening the group's operational capabilities in Gaza. Trump's strategy may aim to cripple Hamas economically, thereby diminishing its ability to sustain prolonged military engagements against Israel. This hardline approach, however, is likely to exacerbate tensions. Sanctions on Iran could further destabilize the region, drawing in Hezbollah from Lebanon, or provoking retaliatory action. Trump's support for Israel's military strategy may embolden Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who remains committed to weakening Hamas, rather than seeking a political resolution that might allow the group to regain strength. From Israel's viewpoint, maintaining military pressure on Hamas is essential to prevent the group from rebuilding its capabilities. Despite heavy losses among its leadership, including the deaths of top figures like Ismail Haniyeh and Yahya Sinwar, Hamas remains a potent force in Gaza. The Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, continue their operations, focusing on clearing key areas and disrupting Hamas' ability to mobilize. Netanyahu's reluctance to agree to a ceasefire reflects his belief that any pause in hostilities would enable Hamas to recover and regroup. Israel's strategy, for now, seems to favor a prolonged conflict aimed at keeping Hamas weakened. The lack of a clear alternative leadership in Gaza further complicates any potential peace negotiations. The Palestinian Authority, PA, led by Mahmoud Abbas, is viewed with skepticism by both Israel and many Palestinians, limiting its ability to govern effectively or broker a ceasefire. Efforts to mediate the conflict have faced significant hurdles. Qatar, traditionally a key intermediary, recently scaled back its involvement, likely due to anticipated pressure from the Trump administration, which has accused Qatar of harboring and supporting Hamas figures. Egypt remains a potential mediator, but the broader geopolitics, the geopolitical dynamics under a Trump presidency, might discourage active engagement from other regional players. The looming influence of Trump's expected hardline policies could deter nations from openly supporting Hamas or engaging in negotiations that might be perceived as favorable to the group. One of Trump's notable achievements during his first term was the Abraham Accords, which normalized relations between Israel and several Arab states, including the UAE and Bahrain. These agreements marked a shift in the Middle Eastern landscape. As an individual, this was a turning point for a new and more independent leadership. The two were likely to become allies, rather than both two. The Chinese were likely to identify their interests in the West, and the West will be committed to them, two times together. The United States is the only one in the world to practice capitalism. The United States will, unlike the United States, not be an entity either politically or militarily just to satisfy the demand. The United States is the only country, especially in Gaza, where Hamas remains the dominant power. Trump's previous policies, which included cutting U.S. funding to the PA and the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, UNRWA, significantly weakened the PA's ability to provide services and support to Palestinians. A similar strategy in Trump's second term could further undermine the PA, exacerbating internal divisions and potentially leading to increased support for Hamas as the more assertive force against Israeli actions. The prospect of a two-state solution seems even more remote with Trump's return. His earlier Peace to Prosperity plan was widely criticized for being heavily biased in favor of Israeli interests, offering limited concessions to the Palestinians. A revival of such proposals could lead to heightened tensions, protests, and possibly an escalation of violence as Palestinian leaders and the public reject what they view as one-sided deals. Trump's strong pro-Israel stance, coupled with potential expansions of the Abraham Accords, may embolden Israel while isolating Hamas further. However, this approach carries significant risks. Hamas, feeling increasingly cornered by Israeli military pressure and economic sanctions, might respond with intensified rocket attacks, potentially dragging other regional actors into the conflict. On the flip side, Trump's unpredictable style as a dealmaker might lead to unexpected diplomatic overtures. His willingness to engage directly with adversaries, as seen in his unprecedented meetings with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, suggests a possibility, however slim, of attempting a bold peace initiative in the Middle East. Yet, given the deep-seated animosity and distrust between Israelis and Palestinians, achieving a lasting resolution would be an enormous challenge.